What can the rest of the world learn from Chinese people? I lived in China for 5 years, and have visited over 60 times apart from that. Before answering this question, I would say that don't get too carried away by China. Its GDP per capita is about 10x less than some of the richest countries in the world. It is roughly where many developed countries were 30 to 35 years ago. Some of its regions are poorer than some African countries people think are poor, and for that matter, a few African countries have higher GDP per capita than China. With that being said, I do think the world can learn the following things from a certain type of Chinese person. 1. Entrepreneurship. Even when GDP per capita was incredible poor in China, Chinese immigrants did well in the UK, US, Hong Kong and beyond. You consistently see that. Even today, British people from Chinese descent have some of the highest wages in the UK, even if they barely speak a word of Chinese. Many have never let the foolishness of their past governments get in their way. 2. Pragmatism and distaste for business. Political correctness. Many Chinese business owners can be amoral. That isn't an insult, I mean it in the literally sense of the term. They are neither intentionally immoral or moral. They are merely focusing on what the market wants. When I lived in China, I saw so many people making a lot of money, who didn't particularly like their business. Yet many people, all around the world, have bought into what I would call business politically correct behavior. Saying things like, "You have to love what you do," and "I only sell products I myself believe in." This is nonsense. It isn't about you, it is about your customer. If you love your own services, then great, but it isn't the only way in business. In China I met a world-class salesperson, who went on to create a fantastic small company. He doesn't drink because he doesn't like the taste of alcohol. That pragmatism should be admired. He understands that whilst he doesn't like the taste of alcohol, many people do. 3. Distrust of government. For all their nationalism, deep down, they don't trust the government if you look at actions rather than words. Look at the trade war. Almost all Chinese people I know bought USD and non-Chinese investments after it got worse, regardless of their political views. Being distrustful of governments helps you be resourceful for playing the long game, investing for the future, partly because they don't trust governments. Delayed gratification in general. Even though they have a face culture where they try to show off to random people, they also save and invest a lot. So for example, some of my Chinese friends do overspend every now and again, and show off, but overall still save. 5. Adapting to changing times. When I first went to China, it was like going back in time. Now, despite much lower incomes than developed countries still, even most middle-aged people use mobile to pay others. Chinese people tend to adapt to change more quickly than many emerging markets. 6. Understanding some realities. One of my favorite Chinese expression is, "Wealth never lasts 3 generations." I would add the word, seldom, though. So the world can learn a lot from a certain type of Chinese people, just not from the Chinese Communist Party. The above qualities can also be seen in Taiwan, Hong Kong and people with Chinese descent around the world for the most part. The bad thing is the extraordinary rise in nationalism in the last 10 to 15 years. The difference between when I first went to China and now is stark. China has a long history that stretches for millennia. There were periods of great stability, prosperity, morality, and technological and social advancement. There were also periods filled with strife, violence, constant warfare, and the worst of human nature. There were benevolent and prudent rulers, and there were the most heinous of power-hungry and sociopathic despots. There were progressive period and conservative periods. There were eras when the Han people were humble, open, and free, and time when chauvinism and arrogance lead to decline and collapse. The last century of humiliation was really just one of many such periods in a long and tired 5,000 year. And now we see China rising to prominence yet again. In spite of the tumult of history, the Chinese language and writing, the arts, the cuisine, the culture and shared history, and the values all merged, all evolved, and have survived to this day distinct and uniquely Chinese. Today many Americans and Westerners are fearful that their civilization is on the verge of collapse. It's on the TV, on the radio, and on the internet every day. We get everything from propaganda on the mainstream media to the reactionary ravings of the alternative media and the lunatic conspiracies of the fake news fringe websites. You have precious metal swindlers warning of inevitable collapse telling you to buy their gold, and Wall Street wolves screaming at you to buy on the dip.